Hi, I'm Donna Davis. I'm here with Richard Cole, the founder of Cole's Wild Bird Products. Happy New Year, Richard.
Oh, hey, the same to you and for everybody else out there too. It's a brand new year.
I do want to let everyone know that although this is broadcasting live, Richard is actually taping a little bit ahead of time, so we will get to all of your comments today. And of course, we're here live every first Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And just put your comments in anytime. And we'd also love to just see where you're watching from, so you could put your hometown or wherever you are as you are watching this broadcast. And Richard, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the new year and how people have all kinds of resolutions and things they want to do differently this time.
I think this is one of the new years that people are actually excited about for a lot of reasons because it's 2020 had its challenges for sure, and they do extend into this year. Uh, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a much better year. I do want to take some time again and thank sincerely all of our customers who are buying Nicole's products and who are putting up with all the difficulties everybody's having. As many of you know, maybe every size you want, if your favorite retailer is not in stock, maybe each product that you wanted at your favorite retailer is not in stock. And just be assured that everybody at Kohl's, as well as all the other producers of products out there around the country, are doing the best they can to keep the retailers supplied. It's just extremely difficult because there's interruptions all up and down the supply chain. Some of the raw products are difficult to get. Once you get them and you manage to get them produced, it's sometimes very difficult to get them transported back out to the retailers and distributors. And everybody's in the same boat. So that's why you see shortages all over the place. This is going to continue for a while. And there's not a lot anybody can do other than work as hard as they can to produce as much as they can and ship as much as they can. So just be aware that everybody at Kohl's is doing their best, and we're going to continue to do that so you can get the products that you want. I know I'm not happy when I can't get something I want, so we want to try to keep everybody happy, and we're going to work diligently to get the supply chain going again as best we can and get our products out to everybody. So we just hope that what you're looking for will be there, if it's not there now, soon. And we certainly appreciate all your support and the calls and everything we've gotten uh, from you about this. It's really nice, and we love all of our customers, and we want you all to be as happy as we could possibly make you. I suspect that as we move into the new year, things, and I think everybody's doing the same thing, we're expecting that things will slowly but surely get better and start returning to somewhat of a normal nature. We don't know exactly how long it's going to take. It's going to take a little while longer, but it looks like, as the old saying goes, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
We've
So,
heard that a lot lately, haven't we? And
yes,
other
we
things,
have.
yeah. So, other things that you'll want to stay tuned for this broadcast is that we're going to have a lot of ideas and suggestions for New Year's resolutions that have to do with feeding the birds. But while we're talking about COVID, I do want to bring up there's a perfect storm, right? There's an increase in everybody wanting to connect with nature. So, you've got more people buying your products than ever before. Those pine siskins are not exactly cooperating and the supply chain. So let's talk a little bit about those pine siskins and the videos that you got.
Well, in the southeast where we're located, we don't see pine siskins all the time. Usually it's in the wintertime when they're down here in any numbers that be noticed. And some years there's a lot of them down here. And if you're fortunate enough to be where one of the large groups of pine siskins decide to hang out, you can be treated to just as what I call an invasion. And all these guys come in and they're hungry and they eat. And it's just, a little few weeks ago, we had a group of them decide to come to my yard and hang out for a few days. And I did a little video here and there of watching because I just enjoyed going out and seeing all those birds. It's not like three or four birds on a feeder. It's like hundreds, and
I
they're everywhere, all in the bird baths, all over the bushes, waiting their turn at the feeders. And every feeder I had was full of the birds, and that was exciting. And
it
hopefully
Yeah,
Everybody listening to me got something like that happen.
it is exciting. You're right, and I love to see them jockey for position and switch out because you just can't have enough feeders for them when they come in. And I've had them at my feeders too, and they are so much fun to watch. Do they have a favorite food?
Do they have a favorite food?
Yeah, that you know about.
I tell you, at my place, it's basically sunflower meats
Yeah.
and hot meats. That's their number one choice. And they will go for some of the seeds and all, but they really, really like the soft sun meats and hot meats. And the hot meats they go to, because I have them out there where the squirrels might be able to get to a feeder. So I use the hot meats in those places, and where the feeder's properly baffled and everything, the squirrels can't get to it, I run pure sun meat. And everybody likes those. It's one of my favorite foods to feed for a wide variety of birds. And of course, any of the special feeder mix, several of the blends that Coles has works fine also. But yeah, sun meats is their favorite.
So that brings us to New Year's resolutions that have to do with the birds. I'm not sure if you want it. Richard is going to talk about some of the new feed that you can try in your feeders, but you've got a whole list of things that you can do for the New Year's that have to do with the birds, right?
Of course. And one of the things we could all do better at maintaining and taking care of our bird feeding activities. And I'm lax sometimes, just like everybody else. But number one is keep the feeders full. Uh, Feeding drops off at feeders that aren't filled regularly. And it's always sometimes a chore, especially in the wintertime, but it's cold outside or it's wet outside to go fill up the feeder. But the more often the feeder is empty when the birds come by, the less often you're going to see the birds, because they can't afford to waste the energy to come to this potential feeding area when too many times there's just nothing there. So keep your feeders full. Even if you only put out a half a tube a day, do something so that there's on a regular basis that they can count on food available for them. So that's number one. Keep the feeders full. Right behind that, excuse me, and perhaps more important, keep the feeders clean. It doesn't take much time to go out and just wipe down the perches and wipe out the tray. If you got a tray, clean it off every now and then. You can, when the feeder gets empty, you can throw these things in the dishwasher if it's a plastic tube feeder, a quality plastic tube feeder like one of the Coles feeders. And to mention in cold feeder, it's also the bottom snaps off. It makes it really easy to clean those things out in a hurry and snap it back together. But keep them clean. It's healthy for the birds to do that. So do that for your bird friends. And try new foods. And I tend to put the same thing in the same feeders all the time. I'm sure everybody else does too. But every now and then, just look at the available foods out there and try something different. If you've never used suet before, my goodness, give that a try. Get a little inexpensive suet feeder and put some suet cakes out and watch what happens. You'll have birds on there. Also, if you're running just one of our blends like special feeder, get another little feeder and put just sun meats in it, or put some hot meats in it, or put one of the other Coles products in it. Even a mesh feeder, you could use something like raw peanuts, and you'll attract some different birds to it, and or give a treat to the birds that are already coming. You might find there's several that work blends or products of types of seed that work better for you than you thought they would. Or you may just, if nothing else, you'll be giving a great supplemental change to your birds that are normally coming. And I try a little bit of everything all the time, and I like to mix it up. And sometimes I'll mix one or two different things together and put it in a separate feeder, and that's fun too. So
That's a
keep
really good
that.
idea, and you're right, because I noticed that I do the same thing. It's like I almost think of this feeder has this feeder has that, and I do that, and I put the same thing in them. So that's a really good suggestion. I like that. So try some different foods and put them in some different feeders, right?
And try it. Now we talk about keeping the feeders filled, keeping the feeders clean, trying new birdseed products in the feeders, and try a new feeder. You know, we Coles has several feeders, different tube feeders. Add it maybe not a different type of feeder. Add another tube. Put another feeder out there, And especially when times like this, when you get influxes of large number of a certain species of bird, it gives them extra places to eat and more birds can come in at one time. But you may find that another place in another area around your house is a great feeding area. Or maybe it's, oh, by the way, this one's visible out the kitchen window. This one, put one over here, you might be able to see it out the bedroom window when you walk by all the time. So get another feeder or two, put them out there and watch what happens. You may find a very great place for a feeder to be located that you hadn't thought about. Just move them around, and always keep your main feeder maybe in the same place so reliably the birds know exactly where to come to. But have some fun. Get another feeder or two. Just move them around and play with them. Different types of food in different locations.
Now let's talk about some of the different types of food. You're going to tell us a little bit about some different Coles foods, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. And over the years, we developed a lot of different blends and straight seeds that the birds really like to eat. And that's what we do. We don't just find something that's inexpensive and put it in a package and call it bird food or bird seed. We work for many years trying to determine what the birds really like and what's really good for the birds. So I think we have a good array of products and almost anything you'd want, Coles makes. And I will make one other little hint right here. If after you go through this list, you hear one or two that say, I might want to try that, it's not at your local retailer who's carrying some Kohl's products, just suggest it to them. Write the name down, and you can see these names also on the Kohl's website, and give it to your local retailer and say, I'd really like to see you bring in some of this for us to try. And a lot of them will be cooperative and do that for you. And that'll actually get our products out into the stores a little better and give you a chance to try something new. So, a list of things to feed the birds. I guess one of the first things I'll mention is Blue Ribbon Blend. It's one that we originally created quite a few years ago, and it's one of the favorites. It's a good mix of sunflower and sunflower meat, safflower, and everything birds like. It has less sun meats in it, and it's more of a traditional mix, but only the good stuff, none of the filler seeds. And, do we have those pictures?
Yeah, right now we're looking at Blue Ribbon Blend. So tell us.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. And so Blue Ribbon Blend is just a great normal food for the birds. And one of my favorites is Special Feeder. And it's named Special Feeder because it was designed to go in those special feeders that aren't tubes. They're more bowl shaped. And therefore, when the birds pick out what they want, at that point in time, it leaves just things they don't want. So if you're having a grocery store mix or something like that, where there's mostly millet and milo, they'll come in and pick out some stuff. You get this layer, and any sunflower seeds left are hidden under the bottom. So I developed a blend that you won't have any of that in. So therefore, everything they come to when they're digging in a bowl is going to be something they want to eat.
Yeah,
The
and we
sunflower
have it
meat, the
shown.
peanut.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have it shown with Cole's Terrific Tube Feeder, and it's perfect for that,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah, it's most of these seeds will work in most feeders. So yeah, that's a good feeder. Also, the Bountiful Bowl is great to put that in, along with several of the other blends that are larger pieces in there. And the birds love the open bowls. They love the Terrific Tube feeders. I guess next on the list is a good one to mention. It was the hot meats. We mention that? And I didn't. Did we mention the hot meats? No.
No, yeah, we're seeing it now. We're seeing the hot meats with another Cole's Terrific Tube Feeder.
Okay. And hot meats, we developed quite a few years ago also to solve several problems with animals who may want to come up and take all the bird seed for themselves. Hot meats are infused with habanero chili sauce that is highly concentrated. Therefore, it has a very hot taste. Mammals such as us and other mammals can taste that heat flavor, and it's not appealing to us because it's just too strong. Birds have no receptors in their taste palate for that flavor. They don't taste the heat at all. And so they eat the seed. Whereas, like I said, mammals tend to leave it alone, which has some great benefits. Uh, it's also basically pure sunflower meat. So all the birds eat it, even the birds that typically don't eat bird seed because bird seed has shells. They'll eat the hot meats and the sun meats because there is no shell and it's all soft like a tasty insect. So that's a great food.
Yeah.
Uh,
So we'll take a look
it,
at another one that we have. Alex, do you want to bring up one? So how about the blazing hot blend? Tell us a little bit about what's in there.
Blazing hot blend is just what it's a blend. It's more like blue ribbon blend, but it has a coating on it that's very hot to the taste for mammals. So it's if people don't want to do just a straight sunflower meats and they like a good blend, blazing hot blend is the way to go. And then that's followed up by Cajun cardinal, which is something that a lot of cardinals love because it has the underlying seeds that the cardinals really favor, and it's sunflower, safflower, and yet it's also coated with the habanero chili sauce to make it a little too hot for mammals. So
Yeah.
all those good choices, and find them and try one. Certainly try the hot meats. I think you'd really be surprised at how many birds will start really liking the hot meats, and it eliminates a lot of problems from furry critters. Uh,
Yep. That.
the
Go ahead, Richard. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Finch Friends is just a interesting combination. Instead of just pure Niger seed that a lot of finches like, and including pine siskins, by the way. Finch Friends is sunflower meat and Niger seed and all, and it's a good combination to be put in a regular feeder. Don't have to have a special Niger tube feeder for it. And you'll find that a lot of birds, especially in the fall and late summer when the goldfinches are feeding heavily, will really love that blend. And of course, they're one of the all-time favorite sun meats. Yeah. If you look at our sun meats, if your local retailer carries it, you'll see that they're all full, whole, firm, moist meats, not chips, scratch, cracked, reject. Big difference. Birds love that stuff. It's they can't get enough of it. I have that in most of my feeders here at home because it's also another benefit. There's no shells to be thrown out all over the grass underneath. So give sun meats a try. You'd be surprised at how well it works. The
Yeah, it does. I love it. I love to put
Yeah,
it into a little feeder where no big birds can get in that because those sunflower meats, that's precious stuff right there.
yeah. And oil sunflower is just simply great sunflower seed with the shell still on it. I will comment that you see an oil sunflower, it's called oil sunflower, by the way, because it was developed to have a thinner shell and a higher oil content in the meat itself. That was generated or established to produce sunflower oil. Just so happens that the combination of a high oil content and a thin shell makes it what? A great bird seed because the birds can crack it. More birds can crack it more easily. And when they get the kernel inside, it's oilier and more nutritious for them. So our oil sunflower is always at the highest grade. It hasn't been shriveled up inside. So this whole thing is measured and tested to be good by how much it weighs per bushel. And the heavier it is per bushel, kind of tells you how much oil and moisture is still in the meats inside the shell. When you see it in a store, you can't tell that a lot of the meats inside have a part of it eaten out from a teeny little worm or that it's kind of dried out. You just see the shells and it looks great. Ours is always the top quality, high moisture, high oil content sunflower seed. There again, the birds will really like it better. Uh, Safflower is an interesting seed that I brought down into the South. Nobody here was using it, I don't know, 25 years ago. And it has a unique capability that most squirrels and other animals don't like the flavor. Most blackbirds don't like safflower for whatever reason. And I don't care what the reason is. It's just a good thing that the blackbirds don't seem to like it very much. So sometimes when I get a strong invasion of grackles and starlings and things like that, I'll just put out safflower seed for a while. They'll throw a little bit on the ground and then give up, and the other birds get to come in. And your normal birds around your house, especially the cardinals, love safflower seed. So it gives you a way to get away from the grackles and starting to invade, and also gives a nice supplement to the other birds who will like the flavor and like the taste, and it's nutritious.
I
It
just love
has
that the
you'll
cardinals
notice
love
that
it. Yeah, you
safflower
always
is
see
in some of our
cardinals.
other blends.
Yeah.
So uh, raw peanuts. Uh, the It's just a nice treat. There again, very nutritious. Titmice and woodpeckers love raw peanuts. It's one of their favorite things. You can put those in a bountiful bowl, hanging out, and just put a few out each day. They'll disappear quickly. I always love to do the peanut. And whole peanuts are interesting. Uh, Long time ago, I ended up having almost like a pet blue jay because I put some peanuts out on a railing and it would come and get them. And finally, I just opened the sliding door and put them closer and closer. It finally just land on the porch, walk into the living room, get a peanut and leave. And if I went
Wow.
outside, that blue jay would follow me around hoping to get a peanut. So peanuts in the shell can be a lot of fun. Not to mention the squirrels really love them. So, and that's good too. Um,
That's fun, Richard. That sounds so neat. Your little pet blue jay. I love it.
yeah, Yeah, it was interesting. It seemed to say, "There's the guy who gives me peanuts," and it would come out. And generally, when I'd go out, especially just ride around or walk through the store or something, I would have a peanut or two in my pocket, and I would throw it one every now and then. Never got it to come eat out of my hand. I could have if I'd have spent the time, but it would, like I said, land on the deck railing, get on the porch, walk into the living room, pick up a peanut, walk back, and fly away. Uh,
Wow.
I kind of missed that blue jay.
Yeah.
So, nutberry suet blend. It's another one of these specialty blends that we created to put some different things in as a special treat for the birds. And so we have dried fruit pieces and things like that. We also have suet kibbles that we sell separately. Also, we put that mixed in there with other seeds, and it's just a good all-around blend. I especially like that in a bountiful bowl. You put it out there; it's got some chunky little fruit bits and things in it, and it has, of course, sun meats, and it has the suet kibbles and things that most of these guys are really going to like. It's kind of like a treat. I do feed that as a treat. I don't ever like put it in the feeder and leave it all year. You could, but I like to put it out in little batches into the bountiful bowl feeder. Uh, Niger seed. Traditionally, Niger seed, which a lot of people used to call thistle. It's not thistle seed, but it's a noxious weed seed. But it's Niger seed. It's relative to the sunflower seed, but very small. You put it in Niger tubes, which has very small openings, and goldfinches and house finches and other birds of that nature tend to really like that seed and will come to it. So it's a good specialty seed to put out for those types of birds. Uh, Cracked corn. Not what I would call a real bird seed, but uh, cracked corn is good for scattering around on the ground for a lot of the birds that come by who tend to feed on the ground. Towies and some of the blackbirds really like this. The cardinals will pick it up also, and some of the sparrow cans really like cracked corn scattered about for them. So it's a good supplemental feed, something to play with. And critter munchies.
You gotta love critter munchies.
Uh, Critter munchies is something we came up with uh, just because I decided it'd be nice to give the critters something that they would like more than just the regular bird seed. So we developed critter munchies, and it was one of the first ones out there. Everybody now has different things like critter crunchies and knockoffs, but the critter munchies are still the best. Of course, I think that, and because we put the best ingredients in there for our critters. I don't treat them any less than I do the birds, but with whole peanuts and raw peanuts and sun meats and things that they really care for. They're again great to scatter on the ground, put on a railing, put in a platform feeder is a good place for critter munchies, and also to put in the bountiful bowl. So try critter munchies. I will mention this. If you go to your retailer, I can never say this enough, and they don't have one of these things that you see and you think you'd like to try, just mention it to them. Tell them you'd really like to try this Kohl's product. And many times they'll be quite accommodating and see about getting it in on their next order. And it'll be available to them. So ask them, and maybe you'll get it and get to try it, and you'll have a new favorite food at your house.
I know these are some great resolutions. So let's also talk about the bird houses. You suggested maybe try bird house too.
Good thing to mention this time of year. We are in January, it's like, oh, it's cold out there. No birds are nesting now. However, they're starting to look. As we get these warmer days in January, February, it's still not nesting time, but you'll actually start hearing these birds vocalizing their calls, their territorial calls, and you'll hear them singing a little bit more. And that's in preparation. They're getting ready for the breeding season that's coming up. So if you have bird houses out there, nesting boxes on a tree, on a pole, wherever you have them, check them out. If you cleaned them out after the season last year, but you should have, and just go by and check them, make sure they're still clean. There's nothing in them. There's no old wasp nest up in the roof. Make sure they're cleaned out. Get them ready for the mating season. This year, it's almost here. Time we get into late February, these birds start getting serious about it. As you get into mid-March, especially late March, most breeding is always already underway. Egg laying is right about that time and a little bit later. And you want the birdhouse to be clean. And guess what? The more birdhouses you have, the more chance you have to get birds in the house. It's like you go out to buy a new house, you look around, you might not want one on the corner, you do want one on a cul-de-sac, or you like this style or that style. Try different locations. That's hard to do with one birdhouse. Get 2 or 3, put them around, put one on a pole, just near some bushes, but not in the bushes, and about 4.5, 5 feet high. If you have one on a tree, that's the only place you have it, okay, but they're much safer on poles. Posts on tall porches are okay, but put a couple birdhouses out this year, and maybe the birds will have a little better choice when they come by, pick out their place to raise their young this year.
And it's certainly worth it because there is nothing more fun than to see those birds checking out the houses and then having, a brood and then to see them learn to fly. So great suggestions today. Any other final thoughts, Richard?
Oh, gee, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this will be over hopefully soon. We're going to start getting back to somewhat more of a normal operation, normal life for all of us. That'll be a good thing. We're looking forward to that. I'm sure all of our customers are also, and we're going to do the best to keep the supply lines moving and keep the products stocked in the stores where you buy them. And we hope we're glad you're patient with it. We hope you'll continue to be patient, but we're doing the best we can to get the products out there. I want everybody to really stay safe, stay well, and let's hope for a much better spring this year.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for being here today. And Richard Cole, again, is here to answer your birding questions every first Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock. Happy New Year, Richard.
And Happy New Year to you and everybody else.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Hello, this is Richard Cole. I want to thank each of you for watching, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to share it.